Construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions Podcast, where we're burning the house down. Twice a week, every Mondays and Thursdays, we're bringing you amazing guests that are teaching you how to be the champion. Not necessarily even teaching you, just showing you the damn ways to go out there and crush it, crush the competition, crush your business, crush your family life, because that's what champions do. They win at everything, and it doesn't matter. They just go out there, they learn, and they get the job done. Man, I'm fired up today. I'm super excited for our guest. John, it is great to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you. And nice to have us on. This has been really cool. I know when we had met you at the last builder convention, man, we just realized this is sparks flying. So we wanted to talk to your guests.
Yes, it is, man. We bring some energy and excitement because I believe that's what the construction industry deserves out of me. And I am here to bring it and live up to that. So before we dive in, why don't you tell all the champions out there a little bit about yourself and what got you here to today?
Yeah, so I'm an investment banker, as boring as that sounds, but we had come from Now CFO, a large accounting consulting organization, and we founded Now Capital Partners as an investment bank, primarily for lower middle and middle market companies, blue collar really being our focus. And so, because of that, we've worked with a lot of construction companies, roofing, plumbing, and everywhere in between the house there and been able to see a lot of areas where you as an operator, best operator in the business, may not be thinking about deal structure, what a transaction looks like. And we have a lot of fun teaching and bringing people along in that process.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm excited for today's conversation. I know the construction champions out there listening are excited for it. So I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to ask the $1,000,000 question, and that is what makes a construction champion?
Yeah. So when we're working with construction companies and we're preparing for a sale, primarily accounting issues, right? The accounting revenue recognition in construction companies is a little crazy. I'd like to talk to the guy who invented percentage of completion, right? It seems a little crazy to me. Very few companies in the lower middle market that aren't, at public level reporting are ready for that. So there are so many things along the way that you have to be aware of. So it's really a company that early on, even many years, 5, 6, 7, 10 years prior to selling or we're getting ready to scale, there's a lot of things we need to think about, specifically in construction, preparing to get our company the most valuable to a seller, but also to us. So we don't have to double our hours to double our business, right? And we talk a lot about that. So the best possible, the construction champion is someone who plans with the end.
I love that. And because exactly what you said, I've said it on here before. We've had enough accounting is it can be a disaster, but like preparing a business for it to be able to be sold doesn't necessarily mean you're ever going to sell it, but you want to have a business that's prepared. You don't know what life situations might happen, and you might need to liquidate something. And next thing you can't because that whole business evolves around you. So I think like that right there is something that guys should just understand is just because you're building a business doesn't mean you can't build it to possibly sell, but also have a legacy business because you just want it to not be able to have to run with you. You want the numbers to be right. You want all of this stuff to be right because that's what you deserve. It's the business owner. Like you should. I watch too many guys prepare this stuff to sell it and be like, man, I wish I would have done that years ago because it would have made my life easier.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of things we talk about, like you're referencing, is the business dependent on you? You know, if you're getting ready to sell or you really want to scale, all sales and all project management can't be dependent on you. Do you have recurring revenue? You know, maintenance contracts, little things that you can find anywhere, even if it's 1, 2% of your revenue. $1 of recurring revenue is worth $4 of non-recurring revenue to a buyer, and somewhere in between to you when you're not having to constantly refill the pipeline,
Hmm.
right? Having financials ready, having documented processes, onboarding manuals, training, all of that is IP. So when you're looking to sell your company or you want to scale rapidly, those are the things you would be selling or you're relying upon to drive value in your business. If it's you running around doing sales and making sure everybody's at their stage in the project that they should be, you probably know you have a problem, and we need to think about
So, I mean, you've worked with a lot of companies, and I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of different people. But what are the things that need to be fixed if guys are thinking they want to sell their business? What are some of the things that they should be focused on?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the classic thing I kind of referenced earlier on the accounting is very few people are doing the correct GAAP accounting, right? So your EBITDA that your multiple is based on for how valuable your company is can change significantly based on that. But second of all, it's a primarily labor-based business, right? So onboarding training, regular training and improvement, and then KPIs to monitor how you're progressing. So I a lot of times talk to business owners in the construction space, and I say, of your crews, which is the most profitable? And sometimes it's broken down to, well, the highest quality, but not the most profitable, medium quality, but the most profitable, and then terrible and unprofitable. Well, let's get rid of that crew and let's tell the super crew maybe to back it off a little bit, you know, based upon what the ask is. We don't need to be doing everything 100% high end and losing time and profit on it,
Hmm.
and being able to develop those groups that are really driving your revenue, your profit, and customer satisfaction. So if you can't measure, you can't manage that. You don't know where the holes are in the bucket.
Awesome. So, I mean, everybody would assume the accounting aspect, having that stuff right. But I think what people really need to listen to is what you're saying there is training, KPI. Like this stuff starts to matter. This is business fundamental stuff that people should be doing in their business, but a lot of people don't. But this
Yeah.
is stuff that comes into that sale. Like that's should be an aha moment for guys listening is these are the kind of questions that you're going to be asked in an acquisition. And do we know the answers to
What what are you selling? A lot of business owners, when we ask that, they sit back and go, I don't know, my people might leave. My customers are kind of dependent on me. What am I selling? And primarily, kind of that IP and that ability to scale is big. You have a buyer come in, a say private equity fund or even another construction company, they generally, for their investors, need to get 100% return in a 5 to 7 year hold period. If they have to come into your company and they have to set up correct accounting and KPIs and measurement and onboarding training, they lose a year. So if they're on a 5 year hold period, they can pay 20% less for you. If
them?
you're talking about even having a million in EBITDA, you might be a $5 million company. You just lost $1 million
Hmm.
that could go to your pocket by not having those scalable things in place. From that perspective, the cost and the time to implement those things starts to make a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, I can talk from experience. I bought and sold a business, and when I bought it, I negotiated the price for what I wanted to pay because what you said, none of that stuff was in place. I was basically buying a client list and some assets because the employees probably weren't going to stick around. They were the wrong employees to begin with. Uh, and I made an offer, and I've said why. Like, here's why. Like, I'm not buying a business. I'm buying some assets, a couple of vehicles, and a customer list. The rest
Yeah.
I have to go create. And I think people don't realize, like, that's basically what you have if you don't have any of the systems. Is you have some assets and a customer list. What is that really worth?
Yeah. Yeah. And then people that have put this in place just because they're very conscientious business people, maybe they heard from a buddy and they decided to do it. When we go to sale, they go, I'm worth how much? You know, like mind exploding. Like that is like 3, 4, 5 times that I thought I could ever sell for. I mean, we have sold plumbing companies, roofing companies, underground utility companies for numbers that blew the minds of some
Mm.
of their owners. I'd be fine with like 3 or 4 million. I could retire on that. Well, your company's worth $47.5 million, by the way, on comp. Well, okay.
Well, because people start to pay attention. So when I then 12 months later sold that same business, no, people cared about the numbers aspect, but not one person. And I had 5 people in line to buy it. They all cared about, man, you have systems in place. Man, you built a culture around a brand. Like, that's what they started to care about because they saw it as what you said. I can take this and it can be the launching point. I don't have to do, nobody wants to do all the shit. Like the in the weeds, the operation stuff. Like, if you can set that up, that's not what private equity wants to do. That's not what anybody. I don't know if I would want to go do it again because it was a hell of a 12 months, but it was a great outcome. So if you just do it for your own business, like you said, the numbers, the multiples, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially if you're looking to sell to private equity, which is paying huge amounts right now, they only have money as a lever. They say, "Oh, I can fix up the business." They're going to buy it, give you some cash, and then they're going to have you fix that, right? So you're going to do it now and get paid for it, or later and not get paid for it.
So I got a question. So I have watched guys. I know some people personally that have done exactly what you said. Like, took some chips off the table, sold some to private, kept some like did all of that, and they are absolutely crushing it. And I've also watched guys not like I don't quite I it to me seems like you're set up for success in that situation. You take some chips off the table, you create more opportunities, some more freedom, but you still have the ability to go grow the business with, like you said, you have the money to go do the stuff that in the past has been constraints, but some people still aren't successful in that environment. Why would you say that is?
Yeah, the your relationship to the business very much changes. If you're selling, say, 60% to the buyer, you're rolling 40% of your equity, and you have to double this business, and you're going to get your second bite of the apple when they resell, and your 40% goes along with that. It is primarily different. You were a business owner, operator, and enabled to double the business now in 5 years from a platform. You are under, say, a buyer, a private equity company, and super professionalization, right?
Mhm.
They do not have time to waste 6 months if they only have a 5 year period, and they can only write checks. So now, if you've spent your whole time in your business only thinking about organic growth opportunities, here is how I would get more of my little pie. You have not spent time about inorganic. They want to say, who are your competitors? Why are they better, worse? Who's in charge and what would they take? They want to be able to do a roll up strategy of now we're going to buy up vendors, competitors, sometimes kind of middleman customers, and we're going to buy them up and pull them now in under you as a platform. So your systems, your culture, your process can add on a bunch of companies. If you've never done it before, that is a unique skill in business, right? So people struggle with it sounds great that they have an open checkbook for you, but how to use that money effectively is very difficult.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that. And I mean, like I said, I've seen guides be amazingly, and it doesn't come without the herders. Like people are, it's just like anything. Like you're never immediately successful at stuff, but some people get in there and like they just start thriving because it's like you said, you learn and then you have opportunities you never had. And maybe you are that business owner that's thought about like, what would it be like to go out and acquire some of these companies around me, or what would it be like to be able to just dominate our market and just take the entire market share. It starts to put you in a position where you can do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you get the opportunity. And if you haven't been thinking about it and training for it, they're dropping a 1,000-pound bar on your chest, right? You better have been working out, thinking about it, planning for it early on.
Now, is that something that you guys do? Do you help prepare owners and stuff for that transition? For like, do you guys come in and like just take their eyeballs and open them up so they know exactly what's about to happen through that process?
Yeah, and in a couple of ways. So a normal investment bank comes in and says, okay, you're ready for a transaction. We don't see that as inherently valuable. We come in, we even have a 12-week course, right? Here are all the areas of your business and analyzed for are you prepared for sale and teaching you cash free, debt free, asset sale versus stock sale. What are the most important drivers of evaluation, right? And then here is what you're worth today. If you love it, let's go to market. And we got a couple things to fix up, but we're giving a deliverable of you're worth this because of this. And these are the things you could do to be more. A lot of times people say, you know what, it sounds like I'm not ready. And we say, okay, here's your kind of action list, your roadmap to be able to get to the value that you need. And you can do it. We can help, whatever you want to do. And then when you're back to that point where you've gotten to the valuation you think you're worth, or you would need, say, to move on or start this extreme journey with more money in your pocket, you come back to us. So we are education forward,
Hmm.
kind of in all ways. We don't want to say, give us a check, we'll come back to you and tell you where to sign. We want you with us.
So when it comes to not being ready and continuing to prepare. So I know some guys that are in that process where, they were offered money from private equity and they're like, this is what we're due right now. You do this stuff, hit these numbers in a couple years. This is what this would look like. And then this is what it would look like in 5 years. And
Yep.
some people sell and some people wait and continue to try to grow that business. And it's all, I look at it as what's your level. How much of that is true when you decide you're going to wait and try to make some of these improvements? How much do you start to really take on at that point in time for that stuff to change?
It's not easy. And if you were the person who started it, you are now thinking very different, right? The hustler has to die for the CEO to emerge has always been kind of the joke. The founder, the person who started up that company, you have extreme skills, hustle, sales, execution. You're working yourself into the ground. If you can make the transition to thinking a little more strategically and now changing an organization that is larger than just yourself and a couple people in a truck, right? You can make that transition. But a lot of times there is a point where, hey, I recognize that I'm the founder and the hustler, and I need somebody more like a school principal minded to do some of this change and professionalize this business. So that can be someone at a very big size, ERP in, getting another person in place. But the primary thing to keep in mind here is you cannot sell a ship without a captain,
Mm.
right? Are you going to be the captain? who after the sale continues to be on and running it for 3, 5 years? Or do you have a second in command ready to take over or put them in place already? It brings up kind of the next level. You and now your CEO are also not enough. There needs to be kind of a leadership or executive team there when we're in the negotiating with private equity. All of these people, here's my organic plan for my side of the business. Here's my inorganic plan. Here are the KPIs we've measured in this side of the business. Here's how well we've done. And yes, we could scale. A collection of just maybe even just a few people who are absolute leads and are hybrid tactics and strategy is going to significantly increase your valuation and your readiness. Maybe you're small now, but think about
it. I think there's a lot of stuff for guys to think about when it comes around this, and it's not necessarily like what we started the conversation with. Is it's not about just selling your company. It's about building the company that could be sold if something happens. What if you get sick? What if an unforeseen thing happens? And here you are, this is your life's work. And like, hey, I don't want to have to be the one to say it, but is it a client's list and some assets, or have you actually built something that somebody's going to want? And do you have the employees in place to continue? Like I said, I've heard it. I've literally sat there and had a conversation with a guy that sold his business and went through the process of getting it ready for sale. And he said, I wish I would have done that a decade prior, because it would have made the last 10 years of my life easier. Now the next guy that I sold it to is going to get to he now enjoys the benefits of what I did.
What he built. Ron, you hit the nail on the head. Whether you're going to sail or scale, it's the same things. And yeah, when you set these things up correctly, the 10-year overnight success, like it's hard to set these things up, but the second you have this platform, it's easy to double. That's why private equity does it. You know, if they can find a really solid, ready to go business that just add water, just add money, right? Is what's going to flourish that business. They make a lot of money off of it. And it's something we need to be aware of and ready for in any industry.
Absolutely, man. So it's been awesome having you on the show today. For all the champions out there, if they wanted to find you, talk to you, do any of that, where's the best place for them to do that?
Yeah, so I'll throw up a QR code here. This is for our 12-week roadmap to value class. We go through all 12 weeks, and 9 of those weeks we have an expert on fractional legal, a CFO, a dev guy for systems, data warehouse. We have content and creation, scalability, and we're giving a deliverable for here are all the areas in every group of your business to solve. There's usually you add on, say, evaluation. So this is a loss leader for us. It's kind of a sales pipeline. It's about $6,000 to go through the full 12 weeks and learn what a sale looks like. And then you can add on evaluation for about $5,000 and have a full package of I'm worth today, all the things to fix. And then, man, we hope you come back to us when you are ready to sell so we can really fight in the trenches with you. But this is the starting place.
Awesome, man. And for anybody that's listening, do you have a website that they could go to?
Yes, we do. So nowcapitalpartners.com. And
Super
you
easy.
can look us up. We have kind of a collection of services underneath that, C-level services. If you're not ready to sell, kind of how to fix all the things we discover. And then Now Capital Partners and our under company Now Exit are just ready to serve you and help walk through probably the few or the only time in your life where you're going to be in a transaction. We've been here before. We'd love to do it with you. So I,
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for taking the time and being on the show today.
no, man, I couldn't appreciate it more. This is really the group that we serve. The blue collar people who have lifted others up their entire life. That's the
Mhm.
definition of an entrepreneur and a business person. They started for freedom and to protect themselves, and at some point it turned into they were given a lot of people opportunities and are the backbone of the economy. I want to make sure you, as that servant, are getting the most value from your business possible.
Awesome, man. I love it. And like I said, thank you for being on the show today. So, Construction Champions, another episode in the bag where we talked about possibly selling your business one day. And what does that look like? And it shouldn't come as a surprise to you, is that the fundamentals of that is just building a great business that can survive with or without you. The stuff we talk about on this show every week, twice a week, the foundation, being prepared. You can sit here and we could have a discussion of back and forth. Oh, I'm never going to sell my business. And when you say that, so here's how that conversation would go is I don't need to do any of that bullshit because I'm never going to sell my business. And my first question to you would be, is what would happen if you got in a car wreck and you couldn't work for 30 days? What happens at your business? What happens for your family? What happens for your livelihood? You're doing the exact same stuff when you're preparing your business for a sale that you would be doing to just build a great business. You want to be a champion. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you didn't want to, or at least have a little bit of curiosity around what it would be like. You might be sitting there thinking, man, it's been great for the last 10 years. I love it. But you have enough curiosity peaked that you're listening to the Construction Champions podcast. So I know you want to go out there and you want to do amazing things. It all starts with a great foundation. Now Capital and John, like they're helping people put together this foundation and not just put it to create an exit strategy, because maybe that is your end goal, and that's fine. Like I don't like I'm building a company to sell. I've bought and sold businesses. I think we just need to get rid of the stigma that it's not like you shouldn't be preparing something for it to be sold or to exit it. That everything should be a lifestyle business. We're in construction and you build these businesses over time, and I'm tired of watching them then just go away. People spend their entire life building a construction business and then their kids don't want to be involved in it because they watched their parents slave away for the last 20, 30 years. But the problem is that business isn't worth anything now. I'm done seeing that happen in the construction industry because we can change it. The money's out there now. Like John said, private equity is all over construction companies, but you have to be the right company that put together that foundation. So don't let your lifetime of work go away into nothing. Let it be that legacy. Even if it's not you that continues that on, put that business in a position that in your town 10 years after you exit it, you can look at it and say, man, I was proud that I built that. I'm proud that I turned it over to somebody that could take it to something I could never take it to. So, construction champions, go look in the mirror and ask yourself, what would happen if something happened to you and you couldn't work for the next 30 days? So make sure you go check out, man. That's a hard way to end the podcast right there. It's a little heavy hearted, but that's the truth in this industry is too many businesses just go out of business. They don't have any plan of what they're going to do when they retire or when the time comes and they're done working. Start having a plan, construction industry. I'm talking to everybody out there, whether it's transition to the next generation, whether that's a sale, whatever that looks like, a transition to an employee, a sale to an employee, like let's start having a plan what we're going to do with these legacy businesses so they don't just die. So make sure you go to our website. Make sure you check out all of our great sponsors. And until next time, be the champion you were meant to be.
Introducing BuilderComs, your all-in-one construction communication software. Say goodbye to communication mishaps that cause frustration among builders, contractors, and clients. The BuilderComs platform unifies communications, making it easy for you to chat, share updates, and collaborate effectively in one place. Experience the transformation in construction project management with BuilderComs. Visit us at buildercoms.com to learn more and start streamlining your projects today.